I'm your host, Sameya Hito. Tonight we're going to be talking with Ed Holmes, who is one of the promoters of All-Star Promotions. Over the years, they've seen many successful fighters launch their professional careers due to their popular show, Battle of the Rising Stars. Tonight we're going to get an inside look at how and what goes into bringing together boxing and MMA so successfully. So stay tuned, we're going to have a great fight and more from Ed Holmes after this. Hello, I'm your host, Sameya Hito, and I'm here with Ed Holmes from All-Star Promotions. Hi, Ed.
How are you?
Good. I guess I have a couple questions for you, and the first one is, tell us a little bit about All-Star Promotions. What is it? What is it about?
We've been in the business for about 15 years, and we started out with boxing, and now it seems like everybody in California is pretty much into the MMA, so we're doing a lot of the hybrid shows. We're doing half MMA and half boxing in a ring, where if you were just to do boxing, obviously it's in a ring, MMA, just in a cage.
Right.
So now we're doing both, and it seems to be working pretty good.
So that's something that definitely makes it unique as opposed to other companies.
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So another big question, I know people don't really know all the time, what goes into making a fight? How do you pick the fighters? What do you look for?
We actually have a matchmaker, Pete Hiranaka, and we also use people outside as well. The matchmaking is the hardest part because in boxing, if you have a losing record, it's really hard to take off and get to the big time. Which in MMA, a 500 fighter could still be a world champion, but you'll never find that in boxing. So it's important that you have, the right manager, the right trainer, and the right fight, and so that's boxing.
So now, when you pick fighters, do you look for up-and-comers? Do you look for the underdogs? What is it that makes, something very sellable for you guys?
Actually, we just look for good fights. Our business and company, we don't own any fighters, so we're just looking for good fights, people who want to come in and put on a good show for the public.
So where do you go to find the fighters? Different gyms, or do you listen for names?
We've been in business for so long that actually they come to us. So we're lucky to be in California because there's so many fighters in California, so it makes our business pretty easy.
Now, are you looking to possibly merge into just MMA, or do you really like the collaboration between boxing and MMA?
Sometimes we'll just do boxing, sometimes we'll just do MMA, but for us right now it works that we kind of mix them because then the public gets to be able to see both, because for a while there people weren't really interested in boxing anymore.
Right.
But it seems now, the fights are getting better, people are coming back out, but the MMA, they sell out every time.
Absolutely. It's a huge new, thing that people have found, and it's getting a huge fan base and things like that. So do you have any favorite fighters? Do you have anybody that you root for when you watch?
I'm a big Mayweather fan. He's undefeated, so to go out and beat him really means you're the best, because he's the best right now in boxing.
As far as MMA, where do you stand with that?
MMA, I like Dos Santos. Yeah.
Can't go wrong.
No. Yeah.
As far as your fighters that you televise and things like that, do you have any people that you really have a lot of confidence in there?
Actually, I don't, because we don't own any fighters.
Right.
We don't manage any fighters. We just put on fights. And there's a lot of kids out here in LA that are pretty good fighters.
Absolutely. California being, especially Southern California, a hub for, athletics and mixed martial arts and things like that, especially
Right.
since a lot of it kind of stems from here. So that's really awesome. How do you feel about Uriah Faber being from Southern California?
He's one of the best.
I was going to say, don't break
Yeah.
my heart.
Yeah, one of the best. He's definitely one of the best.
So now, how do you go about specifically picking a fight as far as weight class, as far as what you think is really going to sell? Like, what is it that you scout? What do you look for?
Well, first of all, we look for action. If a fighter's out there that's going to give us a good show, we want to kind of stick with that. The hardest problem in boxing is if you have a guy who's 6-0, 7-0, 8-0, it's very difficult to match him up with somebody because they know where he comes from. Like if it was Robert Garcia's gym from Oxnard, they have a lot of great fighters in Oxnard. So there's some real serious gyms that people don't want to even begin to talk about because of the fact that they know that they're the guy. Freddie Roach puts out some great fighters. So it's Freddie Roach, Robert Garcia, and a few others that it's hard to matchmake those kids because they're undefeated fighters and they're very serious about becoming world champions. Where other gyms, kids just want to go in there and they want to box. And to match that up, it's very difficult. So you have to find not just one matchmaker, you have to use 3, 4, 5 matchmakers to make a fight happen.
Absolutely, and especially with the fear of going in with somebody who's got a 6-0, 7-0 record, it's very difficult to find someone who's willing to take on that level of competition.
Exactly. If you have a 5-3 record, 5-4 record, it's going to be pretty difficult for you to take that road that's going to get you to the top. Where in MMA, you can have 5 wins, 2 losses, 3 losses, and you're still there. And
Right.
if you look at Randy Couture, he's probably won a lot of fights, but he's also lost a lot of fights. In boxing, that doesn't exist. If you lose a lot of fights, you're not going to go to the top.
Absolutely. Now, on the flip side of that, do you find that there are some people who have a 6-0, 7-0 record as far as boxing goes, and they'll find a fight that they find a lot of competition in, but stray away from it because they're worried that this could really damage their perfect record?
I'm glad you said that. Yeah, there's a lot of truth to that. Basically what they're looking for are wins, and that's what makes our job so difficult because there's a lot of guys out there that want to win. So, really the fights that we should all be seeing in California are the guys, really are the 5-0 against a 4-0, 7-0 against an 8-0. That way you find out real fast, is this guy going to go to the top? Because a lot of guys, they'll be 10-0, 15-0, and really the talent isn't there. It's just that they've been very well taken care of.
And the fights have almost been selected in
Exactly.
favor of them.
Exactly.
Oh, so now, what are your relationships with the gyms as far as how you scout these fighters, or at least how you try and pick the matches and things like that? How does this work?
Yeah, right now there's not a lot of promoters in California that are doing what we're doing and have the venues that we have. We have the Quiet Cannon, we have the Commerce Casino, and we have downtown Bonaventure. So they call us a lot, can you put us on, can you put us on? But really what's happening is the public still isn't coming out and supporting these venues.
Right.
So it's the fighter that sells the ticket, and it's important for us to pick the right fighters so we are successful as well. So it's a business. It's a business between the promoter and the fighter, knowing that, hey, you know what? You take care of us, we'll take care of you. But if it's just about the promoter, it's very difficult. The economy is real bad right now, so there's not a lot of people coming out and sponsoring the shows. So we have to really rely on each other, the fighter and the promoter.
Definitely more loyal relationships
Exactly.
that you look for.
Exactly.
Is there a hot spot necessarily where you find a lot of just where you kind of hit these great fighters, these great matches, that you can depend on people?
Right now, I think Robert Garcia has that going on because he works with a lot of up-and-coming fighters, and he does a really good job of what he's doing is basically, if you don't really have it, he's going to go tell you to find something else to do because he's looking for that guy who's really dedicated and going to make that commitment. And that's very difficult for someone to do that. Boxing's tough. It's a hard sport.
Is there something that you look for specifically in a fighter? Is it something that you see in somebody that you really just know is going to sell? Has there ever been a time where somebody's kind of like, this isn't the way to go, but you've really felt strongly about this is the person, just give it a chance?
We had a fighter like that, Cleotis Pandarvis, Mookie, and we still feel that one day he'll probably be a champion. But you really have to be dedicated to this sport, and you can still have a lot of talent, but you really don't want to put the time into being that.
Absolutely.
So in order to be a world champion, you have to love the gym, you have to love the run, you have to love every part of boxing, because if not, you won't go to the top.
All right, so let's go more into the MMA side. Can you tell me a little bit about the specific gyms that you hit for as far as fighters from there?
Well, we work a lot with Adrenaline and Eric Paulson's gym, CSW, and also Millennium. And it seems like, again, just like Oxnard, those are the real fighters. Those are the kids that really put their time in and dedicated. So they make good fights. And that's what we're really looking for in MMA, because it's all about the action, standing up and giving the crowd, what they want, because nobody wants to see two guys just on the ground wrestling.
Yeah,
so
it becomes a little bit, tedious, like, okay, stand up kind of thing.
Exactly.
Now, as far, what makes these gyms, these specific gyms, like you mentioned, Adrenaline and Millennia, what makes them a little different? Do they do certain things when they train their fighters? What kind of sets them above that you seek the fighters from there?
They're really concerned about wins and losses. They don't really want their fighters to go out and take a fight if they think they're going to lose it. So, they're making sure that they're putting in their time. In MMA, it's a cross training. Mm-hmm. And so you have to box, you have to do some judo, you have to do some wrestling. It's a little bit of all of it today. And so that's what you get out of those gyms. Eric Paulson, he's a genius in the sport, and so that's one of the best gyms. That's one of my favorite gyms. Anytime I go there, I see a lot of talent there.
So you're getting an extremely well-rounded fighter, which obviously helps your company out as far as getting butts in seats.
Exactly. And they're bigger gyms. They're the bigger gyms.
Okay.
So.
And as far as collaborations, what do you have going with there?
Some gyms you can walk into and they're not really friendly. Gyms, again, like Adrenaline, like Millennium, and Eric Paulson's gym, they greet you, they give you that respect, and they know that they can do business with you, so the doors are pretty open, where a lot of gyms aren't. They're just about the gym and that's it. So it makes it difficult for us, but to open up the door for us and say, hey, come on in and see what's going on, it makes it a lot easier.
This is a very good marriage you have between them, hence the collaboration.
Exactly.
Okay, that is great. All right, that's all the time we have here with Ed Holmes today. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time on IEMMA.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome to beautiful downtown Los Angeles. Alongside Jeff Tolcher, I'm Fred Salas. We're at the Bonaventure Hotel for All-Star Promotions presentation of Civil Disobedience. On tap tonight, some great camo MMA. And Jeff, when you look at the fighters tonight, all of them got something on the line tonight. Somebody's got something at stake. We should see some good fights.
And limited fight experience for these camo fighters, but they're going to come in. They've been training for these fights. Should be a great night of fighting.
When you look at a couple of participants tonight, some of them coming off losses, a couple others just undefeated records coming into tonight's matchup. What is the mindset for some of these young guys that are trying to make it to the UFC and Strikeforce level?
Well, they make the necessary adjustments, but one of the things they told us is they're going to stick to their style of fighting. They're going to go with what works.
It's camo here at the Bonaventure Hotel in downtown Los Angeles. Stay with us. We'll have all the action coming up right after this. Back at the Bonaventure Hotel, Fred Salas alongside Jeff Tolcher as we get set for our next bout of the night. Sonny Sweet, undefeated at 2-0, taking on Jose Huerta, who is 4-5. And this is one of those things, Jeff, where you have a guy with 9 fighters in Huerta, or 9 fights in Huerta, facing off against Sonny Sweet, who's only got 2 fights under his belt, but both of those fights are wins.
Well, in Sweet's case, too, he's also 6 foot tall compared to the 5'3" Huerta.
Let's go down to the center of the ring for the official introductions with our ring announcer, Jim Fitzgerald. Take it away, Jimmy.
All right, fight fans, here we go. Now in the ring, 3 rounds of mixed martial arts in the lightweight division. Introducing our referee in charge of this bout, Mike Bell. And now, introducing to you first, fighting out of the blue corner. He is wearing red trunks, trimmed in white and black. He is training out of Adrenaline in San Bernardino, by way of Bloomington, California. He weighed 145 pounds. Tonight, he is making his debut. Ladies and gentlemen, introducing Sonny Sweet. His opponent across the ring, fighting out of the red corner. He is wearing black and blue trunks trimmed in red. He is training out of Black House in Gardena by way of Bell Gardens, California. He weighed 145 pounds. His record, 4 wins with 5 losses. Ladies and gentlemen, introducing Jose Huerta. All right, man, here we go. 3 rounds of mixed martial arts in the lightweight division.
Well, Jeff, you look at Jose Huerta, and again, 9 fights under his belt to Sonny Sweet, who's got 0 fights under his belt. And Sweet in the blue, Huerta in the red. We'll see how this all pans out. And a big right hand thrown by Huerta right on the chin of Sweet. And this one may be over quickly, Jeff Tolcher.
Wow, what a powerful right hand, too. Unleashed early on, had to stun him.
Well, Huerta came out with a solid right, as you mentioned, and then dominated, picked up the 145-pound Sweet and slammed him down to the canvas. And right now, a full mount by Huerta on Sweet. And we'll see Sweet, professional debut or not, he's the underdog clearly at this point about.
Well, whether or not that translates to a win or a loss, we'll have to see, but it's obvious that Huerta came out fired up in that first round. That big right hand, and now he's in a power position.
Yeah, and clearly Sweet, again, making his professional debut. Huerta 9 fights, albeit amateur bouts, under his belt. And now Sweet with a turn of events. And this is what we love about MMA. Things could just change that quickly. And now a full mount by Sweet on top of Huerta. And a little ground and pound by the Sonny Sweet.
Ooh, a couple of good combinations.
Sweet out of Bloomington, California. Huerta out of Torrance. Quite a height advantage of 9 inches, 6 foot for Sweet and 5'3" for Huerta. But coming out in the opening round here in round number 1, these guys were flying. It was Huerta who got the better end of the exchange. And right now, a rear naked chokehold by Sweet on Huerta, and we'll see how long it'll last. 10 seconds left in this first round. Perhaps saved by the bell.
Difficult round to score. Huerta came out fired up and was the aggressor early on, and then once Sweet was able to get that reverse and get in the power position, he took control at the end of that first round.
Fred Salas alongside Jeff Tolcher from the Bonaventure Hotel. Beautiful downtown Los Angeles. Glad you could be with us for All-Star Promotions presentation of Civil Disobedience. and some action. And that was the opening right hand to start the fight off, thrown by Huerta.
And then Huerta picks him up and gets him down to the canvas. And controlled a good part of that round. There's a look at Sweet, who did a great job adjusting. You know, one of the things you'll learn as an MMA fighter, especially when you're at the beginning part of your career, is how to make the necessary in-game or in-fight adjustments, I should say.
Mike Bell, the referee in charge of this action. Here we go, round number 2 scheduled for 3. Huerta with a right kick to the midsection. Sweet shaking it off. No ill effects from that stroke. There's a right hand by Huerta. This one may be over quickly. Sweet able to come back. A moment ago it looked like he couldn't defend himself. But that right hand connected.
And in that position, one of the more difficult things for an MMA fighter is to not strike the back of the head. That's considered a violation. So Huerta doing a solid job making connections.
Huerta in the red, Sweet in the blue. Sweet with a full mount. Huerta trying to get the choke hold secured. Sweet able to, well, he hasn't escaped yet. Oxygen. Is what Sweet needs right now. Huerta, and he gets away. And now a little ground and pound by Sweet. End of round number 2. And we talked about the sportsmanship many times on the air with these Camo fighters. California Amateur Mixed Martial Arts Organization. Nothing but class. They're not pros yet, but they act very professional in the way they treat each other.
Well, it's mutual respect on both sides of the ring, and it's one of the things that the Camo officials talk to these fighters about before the fights. Talk about sportsmanship, and they also talk about the safety and health of these fighters.
Sweet. Getting some instructions from his trainer and manager. Making his professional debut. And a couple of times he's been in trouble, and of course Huerta might have a slight edge on him with the knockdowns.
Well, you're certainly seeing the difference in experience, too, with Huerta. You can tell he's had more fights in the ring with those 9 fights compared to Sweet. But again, Sweet doing a great job getting out of a couple of very sticky situations.
And here we go, the third and final round. Sweet in the blue, Huerta in the red. And Huerta likes coming out throwing. Connected with the right and the left, and Sweet right now in the corner. Just another day at the park. The look on his face right now.
Well, he looks a little frustrated because he's really not been able to fight his type of fight.
And Sweet shaking that near takedown by Huerta off. Punches to the thighs by Huerta. But Sonny Sweet has got his left arm and a chokehold on Huerta. Now he lets it go.
And that's what Huerta was trying to do. Those body shots make you drop your arm and make you release that chokehold.
Little ground and pound, a near full mount by Huerta. And now right in the torso, whatever Sweet will give him. Right hands to the back of the head of Sweet, and we've seen it already. Those will take their toll over the night as this round progresses. And right now, Sweet not doing anything to fight back. And a guillotine choke on Sweet, and we'll see how long this one lasts. Once again, Sweet escapes. What do you think? I would have to say the man celebrating is the one that's going to get this one on the scorecard.
Yeah, I think he won 2 of the 3 rounds, and even the first round was kind of a bit of a toss-up, but it almost looked like Sweet just kind of stopped fighting. I mean, in that third round, he came out, took a couple of good shots, a couple of good punches, and it's almost like he just was trying to hang on to get through that third round.
Well, each and every round, the opening seconds went to Huerta because he came out aggressive, he came out throwing punches, and Sweet, you see him there, gassed a little bit. He took some definite connections, rights and lefts, to the jaw, to the nose, and side of the head in the opening of just about of all 3 rounds.
And one of the things that Sweet did, though, you got to give him a lot of credit, was he was able to get out of a couple of those difficult situations. Not a bad effort for your first fight, just to make it all the way through 3 rounds.
Huerta, this is 10th fight of his young amateur career, trying to go to 5-5. Meanwhile, Sonny Sweet making his professional debut. And the risk of going 0-1 looming large right now.
And that shot kind of details the frustrated look on his face, that being Sweet. May have been a little disappointed in his performance, but again, his first amateur fight, so he did a good job just to get through it.
And Jose Huerta right now, perhaps giving a little instructions to the opposing corner. Actually, he was congratulating them on their success and warm wishes, and we've talked about that. This Camo organization, just outstanding for these levels of fighting. Well, after 3 rounds of mixed martial arts, we go to the scorecards. Let's set it down in the center of the ring with our ring announcer, Jim Fitzgerald. Take it away, Jimmy.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 3 rounds of action, we go to the scorecards. We have our decision. All 3 judges ringside scored about 29-28 in favor of our winner by unanimous decision, the red corner, Jose Huerta.
No surprise there.
No surprise at all. In fact, I was surprised it was close. Only 1 point separated these two. I actually thought Huerta might have won 2 of the 3 rounds, but the ringside judges saw it a little differently. They still gave him the victory.
There you have it, folks. Thanks to All Star Promotions for putting on a wonderful MMA match full of action and thrills at the lovely Westin Bonaventure in Los Angeles. Tune in next time to see more of All Star Promotions on IE MMA.